Hey, Dan Meyer here, and I'm back once again with another video from the series of why I left Wells Fargo and how it was the best decision I ever made. So basically, when I left Wells Fargo, I had been there for 15 years, and I was really good as a data analyst. I could manage data better than anybody. I had all this kind of training to be able to use these tools and to be able to write code and do everything, and I really enjoyed it. But towards the end, I kind of hit the ceiling. I kept hitting my head. I couldn't go farther up. I wasn't able to make as much money as I wish I could. I always thought, it's awesome that I'm doing this stuff, but it's, the big money's going to the executives and the shareholders. So I thought, it'd be nice to be able to do that for myself. And I launched my own business after 15 years at Wells Fargo, and that was 12 years ago. And I've been very successful ever since. I've managed to take what I learned at Wells Fargo, turn it into a business, turn that into a career as an entrepreneur. So I think back to when I left Wells Fargo, and what are the things that I did that prepared me for success? So what I'm going to do now is share with you what I call my checklist for transitioning from corporate employee to entrepreneur. Right? So there's some things that I did, and I see a lot of successful entrepreneurs do who used to work for corporate America and what they're doing. So when I left Wells Fargo, I had already had several things under my belt that were going to make me successful. One is that I was really good about managing my time. Managing projects, managing deliverables, attending meetings, making sure that I was always on top of stuff. That skill is almost like required to be successful for 10 plus years working for any big company, but especially for banks like Wells Fargo. The other is that I was really good at data analysis, right? I would take a lot of data and I would analyze it and I would make decisions on that for our own team, for myself, and for the bank as a whole. And I learned how easy it is to be data driven. And I'm sure if you, again, worked for Wells Fargo or any other big company like Wells Fargo for 10 plus years, you see a lot of the decisions are made by data, right? You're looking at where opportunity is, you're identifying risk, you're trying to make sure that when you penetrate a new market, you go in the right products, you're looking at your return on investment for your marketing expense. Everything you're doing really is data driven. So those two things really help me. So when I think of my checklist, the first two things I think about is how am I going to manage my time? And what data do I need to make sure that I'm successful? How do I measure my success? How do I set benchmarks? When do I know when I need to cut bait on this idea and go to this idea? What do I need to make as far as money? What are my financial goals? How much do I need to live on? How much do I need to grow the business? How much should I have saved to invest to get started? All these things will be done before you leave Wells Fargo if you're good with data and you're good with managing your projects. And you think about that kind of mentality that you have to have to be successful at Wells Fargo. You start applying those before you leave to your business, right? So before you leave Wells Fargo, put your business out there as far as a hobby. Don't do anything that competes with the bank. Don't, try to sell directly to bank customers. Those will get you in trouble, can get you fired. But you can kind of use that time as you're transitioning when you've decided you want to leave, but you haven't left yet. And for me, that was about 9 months. I decided I wanted to leave, and I told I started making my own business, and eventually my boss found out. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to leave. I'll give him a 30-day notice. And he said, no, please stay. We need to finish things up for 6 more months, and then we'll give you your bonus. And, okay, cool. So I managed to have a 9-month transition period. That's good. A year, 9 months, 6 months, somewhere in there where you're making money from Wells Fargo as you're planning what you're going to do after you leave Wells Fargo. You need that, right? You want to have a stable amount of money that you can use, because when you first launch out as an entrepreneur, you probably aren't going to make money out the bank, out the door. If you can immediately transition to your own business because you already have clients lined up, that's good, but it's also pretty rare. A lot of your time is going to be spent on LinkedIn, trying to do lead generation and build your network. So before you leave your job, make sure you've buffed out your LinkedIn profile. Be active on it every day. Post stuff, share stuff, compliment and comment on other people's stuff. The best way to get attention isn't to spam them with a message. It's to go onto their page and comment on what they're posting and like it and share it and compliment it. That's the best way to get somebody's attention. So when you build out your LinkedIn profile, you make sure you have a simple website, nothing fancy, just so way people can see what you do and how to contact you. Make sure you have some simple social media. And these are all things that if you don't have time to do them yourself, then you can hire a virtual assistant. One of the lessons I learned in my first business was that I couldn't do it all by myself. And I started identifying the things that I could outsource or delegate to a virtual assistant. So Ironically enough, I have a virtual assistant company that I set up as a sideline to what I originally wanted to do, which was to teach people how to do business analysis, right? To do data analytics as a consultant and as a public speaker and as a trainer. But I launched a VA business because I knew that I needed VAs to help me grow my business. So anyway, if you're curious, you can always check out sonicva.com. That's where we do the virtual assisting. I can help you find a virtual assistant that can help do the things like social media, manage your LinkedIn, help you generate leads, do those things that you don't always have time to do yourself. Once you get going and on this checklist, now you manage your time well, you use your data, you use the time beforehand to build up your business as far as your brand. You get your logo, you get your colors, you get your website, you get some social media out there, you start building stuff, right? So then when you're ready to leave, the first thing you need to be doing is go into hyperdrive when it comes to speaking about your business. You need to be on, making videos like this. You need to be on social media, constantly talking about what you do and sharing your knowledge, right? You've decided to leave the bank or leave your job because you have this skill set that you're going to monetize and make more money over time than you would if you worked for a company like Wells or any other corporate job. And you need to be able to tell people that. They need to know that you're the expert. You need to be able to be out there and not just be an expert, but be an influencer. And you do that by being very, very active on social media. And again, using that idea of complimenting and commenting on their stuff to not only get their attention, but to get their followers' attention. So you start doing this kind of stuff on social media and it helps you grow. And the last thing that I would recommend that you do if you want to launch your own business is you should do a formal business plan, right? You should do it in the beginning. You should change it when you leave your job. You should change it 6 months to a year into your new business because it's going to evolve. No business plan when you start out with is what you do a year later. But have that structure in place, like formalize it. You may want to set up a company, an LLC, a sole corporation, whatever you want to do. All that kind of stuff you don't have to do right away because you can do a lot of things online using tools like Square or Stripe to take payments. You can do things to manage your business using free tools like Google Analytics and Canva. So there's a lot of ways to grow your business, but you want to have a checklist of things that you want to do. And you want to give yourself a timeline. Again, use what you know from your experience working for Wells or working for your previous employer or current employer. What it is that makes you successful there will make you successful once you leave. So that's my talk for today. Build a checklist for your transition between corporate employee and entrepreneur. I hope it helped. Feel free to drop any comments below. Please subscribe to the channel. I'll be back again soon with more tips for you on your transition from a job like working for Wells Fargo to being your own boss. Thanks a lot. Now get out there and have a great day.